Hey, everybody. Once again, welcome to the Boss Up and List live show. Check out my new glasses that Victoria got me. Legit boss. I can't see through them, but that's okay. Who really cares? So please, once again, let us know if you can see us okay, if you can hear us okay. We got a really fun show planned for today. And of course, I'm here as usual with Vicky, aka Victoria, aka LV Pink Panther, aka my fiance. And then we also have a special guest with us today, Sheila Ray. Sheila, we want to say hi?
Hello, everybody.
Here's Sheila. She is a boss member, and we decided that we wanted to try something new this week and do what we call a Boss Up and List intervention. And basically all it is a live store review. So Sheila was nice enough to, I got to take these off because I can't see anything. Sheila was nice enough to volunteer to be our first victim / guinea pig to see how this kind of format will go. I think it could be really fun and a really great way for people to learn from us doing this live on the air. Hey, everybody. Oh, we got like 20 people in here now. Hey, everybody. How's it going? All right. So, and Sheila even has her mom in the chat today. Gloria Johnson. Hello, Gloria. I was just telling Sheila, it looks like this is how we get you into the live chat is we just have your daughter on. All right, Sheila, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, tell us when you started doing eBay, a little, I guess just tell us something about yourself, Sheila.
Okay. Well, I started eBay probably 10 years ago. Back in the beginning, my mom sells also on eBay, as most of you know. She was selling lingerie and she got me into it. And back then lingerie was really big and we were doing very well. And then work got in the way and we just stopped. So I'm 47 years old and we just retired and we decided to live in our RV and travel the country. And
you guys, she just said she's 47 years old and just retired. What?
You have 5 years on me. Apparently I have goals now.
Yeah, I just turned 39, so apparently I just have to wait 8 more years and I get to retire, right? Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm. Hey, okay. Why not? So my husband and I, he's a retired carpenter, and we decided we were going to hit the road, and we've been on the road now for a year. We started selling seriously when we left Vegas, which is where we're from, in March of last year. And just kind of been going along, doing our thing. We are lucky enough to go thrift in every state. There's a lot of good thrift stores out there. Yeah. And
okay, what's your favorite state so far to thrift in?
That one's a hard one. Texas probably was one of the better ones. They have quite a few thrift stores. It's weird because every thrift store does something different. So you got to go and figure out what kind of sales they're doing or how they do their inventory and all the different stuff. So sometimes it's difficult because the prices are higher in some places. And like currently we're in San Diego and the pricing is ridiculous here. So we have to find some place where that, they're going to let us come in and they have sales. Some of them don't run sales, so we're kind of all over the place. We try to, before we go someplace, we try to see where the thrift stores are, if there are going to be any good ones near where we're at. We spent a lot of time in Texas. We had some issues with our trailer that we had to get fixed. And so we were there about 3 weeks to a month. So we got a lot of thrifting in, and that's a lot of the stuff that's up in my store now is from Texas. So
awesome. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Texas. Okay, let's talk logistics, Sheila, because if you are traveling around the country 365 days out of the year in an RV, what does storage look like for you? Like,
right, what kind of RV do you have? Is it a toy hauler? Is it a fifth wheel? Like,
we have a fifth wheel. It is not a toy hauler. If I had a toy hauler, I could store so much more stuff.
I know, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's not conducive to living. It's more of, you're more in a cramped space and you don't have that much room. So it's more utility when you have a toy hauler. We have a very small basement. I have bins in the basement. I have half the basement.
Wait, I don't know RV talk. What the heck is a basement?
It's under like the living room. It's a slide. It goes pretty much goes from all the way underneath. You can
how do you access it, outside or inside?
You have a door on each side of your fifth wheel. On the outside, one door is quite a bit bigger than the other. So I have that side and my husband has the other side for tools and other essentials that we need for the RV. So it's not a big space. I think it's probably maybe 5 by 8, maybe.
I can hear your husband giving you input in the background.
So, what's your husband's name?
James.
Hi, James.
Hi, James.
Hi.
So I do have a mess in the house. Also, I have bins in the house. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bins. I have trash bags full of stuff in the house.
Thanks, Mom.
It's yeah, my mom gave us a bunch of inventory while we were in Oregon seeing her. So yeah, it's a mess in here. It's not easy doing eBay out of a 40-foot fifth wheel. Let's just put it that way.
It's challenging. I know certain ones have more storage than other, depending on the the configuration. Yeah. My ex actually managed an RV dealership here in Vegas, so you may have bought your RV from him. I don't know, but in any case, I learned a lot about them while he was working there, and it's pretty interesting as far as the whole lifestyle and all the different types of hidden storage. It's kind of cool. That's kind of always been my dream, is to travel across the country thrifting in an RV once I retire. That's my retirement dream. It's been my dream for 10 years. So yeah. I think that's pretty cool that you're living that dream.
James says, let's go. Come on.
I have so much crap. I couldn't do it. Not yet. Not yet.
So Sheila, your mom, it sounds like she likes to embarrass people because she says, put James on the screen so the whole world can see how handsome he is. Come on, James, we want to see you real quick.
He said, not yet.
He says, not yet.
He's not camera ready yet, apparently.
And my mom knows why. So.
Oh. Your mom sounds like my mom. She's trouble.
Yeah. He might pop in a minute.
Okay. So right now you have about 170 items active in your store. With the amount of space that you have in your RV, what is like, at what point are you going to be at capacity? Are you at capacity right now?
Well, I mean, I could fill up the whole thing if I wanted to, but being able to walk around in here would be another story. My store is not at capacity. I have a lot of stuff that is not listed. I have a lot of stuff that's just, it needs some place to go. I have a basic store. I want to be up to the 250 at least. Then if I start getting sales, I'm totally open to going to a bigger store. I've got the inventory to go to a bigger store. You know, it's the sales right now. I'm not getting the sales that I need to move the product out, to bring new product in so that I can keep going.
So you do have room to grow, like your inventory size, with some limitation, but you do have room to grow there.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Good.
Well, I guess we could like dive right in.
Hold on a second. First of all, I was going to have Sheila. We were going to show a couple things that she sold. I like to do this when we have a guest on, just to kind of give people an idea. Like it's always fun to kind of show off like a couple sales that you've had. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to share my screen over here, and then Sheila, you can kind of tell us a little bit about each of these items.
Okay.
We just have a few here. Let's see. All right, so here's your first one. Tell us about this, Sheila.
Okay, this one, I believe I bought this in Texas. It was new with tags, and I think I paid less than $3 for it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Pretty dress. Good sale.
Yes, very pretty.
You have an actual good mannequin for someone that doesn't have a lot of storage space. That's an actual 3D half mannequin at least, right?
I do. I have a half mannequin, but I also
I see the stand now. Yep.
Mannequin. Yes. And she sleeps with me every night.
As she should.
Yes, we had a good price with that.
Yeah, that one, I actually put that one on sale. What I did with that one, I took a few of my listings that were a little bit higher priced. I went in and I put them at buy it now. I didn't have a best offer on it. And then I ran a sale. My favorite number is 23. So I just chose 23% off. And I ended up getting a couple of good sales off of that. Both of the items that were purchased were new with tags. But that's about all I got off of it. I think I had, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 items that I had put on sale that were a decent price, that I knew I would get a decent price for. This one, I think I had found it also had sold earlier for like $59.99. That's why I priced it where I did. And I mean, I'm happy with the $43. I'd take that all day. So somebody's going to be happy and look nice during summer. So
absolutely. So speaking of your mannequin, your space, I can see behind you, it looks like you have like is that part of your picture taking thing, that pull down screen behind you? Or tell us a little bit about how you manage to take pictures in the space that you have.
It's not easy. We have, believe it or not, we have a residential refrigerator in our RV, just like you would have in your house. There is a space right beside that is our pantry area. And I just take a black sheet or a white sheet, and I have 3M hangers, and I clip those to that, and I put the mannequin in front of that, and I stand back as far as I possibly can, and I take pictures that way. I don't have a lot of space in here. It's the best space for lighting. I use, I don't have a light kit. I use lights that we purchased from Lowe's, and I put the daylight bulbs in there. They're just like the clip-on
perfect.
Silver lights that you would use maybe automotive, or just to put light in your
You still there, Sheila?
Nope, she just paused. I don't think you need to have a professional light kit all the time. It sounds like you're making really good use of your space. I used those silver clip-on lights with daylight bulbs for, not even with daylight bulbs at first, but I used those silver clip-on clamp lights up until Katie moved here in December. I used them for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So, and I had a lot more space than you do. So there's nothing wrong with using those. They take up a very little amount of space, and they work just as well. Yeah. If you have them placed properly. I wouldn't worry about, like, let's say you don't have a professional lighting kit, because that's as professional as you really need to get.
Yeah, and we'll get into it a little bit more later, but I think your pictures look pretty good.
Yeah, your pictures are really good.
All right, let's go to the next one that you have on here. This is Talbot's cardigan sweater.
This one I purchased while we were in Michigan, and I think I probably spent $2 on it. It took quite a while to sell.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it was very pretty. They had it on a mannequin there, and I saw it and I was like, that's really cute. Somebody would love to have that. And I think it was in the store for probably a good 6 to 8. Well, we were in Michigan in August. So, and it just sold just the other day over this last weekend. So
yeah, I think Talbot's is like one of those brands that it can be hard to sell, would you say?
It's middle of the road. I mean, it's conservative. They're classic styles, classic designs. You're not going to get people that are buying something trendy when it's Talbot's. It's all. There's nothing wrong with it. It's nice quality, mid quality, conservative clothing. That's all.
But when we get into your store review, we'll talk more about sourcing and inventory choices and stuff like that. All right, let's go to the third one that you had here. It's the cut from the cloth jeans.
Yeah, these were bought in Texas. I paid too much for them, but I was happy to get the $20 offer, and somebody's going to be happy with a nice pair of jeans. So I can't complain about that. So,
see, I think these pictures look great.
Yeah, your pictures are really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, they really are. I mean, I struggle with pictures. I think everybody can struggle with pictures. Katie's pictures are always fantastic, but she only photographs jackets and sweatshirts and t-shirts. So
whatever.
It's a little bit easier.
But let me tell you, when I started doing it just like a lot of people start, like literally hanging stuff on the door, and you could see the door frame.
Yeah.
The lighting was terrible. You know, inconsistent from picture to picture. I mean, this is just at the beginning. I mean, I learned pretty quickly, but I mean, I swear everybody goes through that process of like figuring it out and then improving. And hopefully, you know, if you're like us or like you, Sheila, people are taking the time to actually like learn and get better. And it sounds like you do that all the time.
I still take crappy pictures sometimes. You know, sometimes something just doesn't photograph well and you're like, forget it. I'm just throwing it up there anyway. It happens, you know. I find that very long items are difficult to photograph with a square background. Doesn't matter how well, you know, how good you are at photographing long items like jeans and pants and long dresses. They're hard to photograph.
Yeah, jeans. I decided to start flat laying those.
And perfect. That was what I was going to. That was one of our things that we were going to mention is that your best photos of your pants and jeans are these like this that are photographed this way. They look fantastic.
Yeah, that was way easier for me to do it that way. I can just put them on the sheet on the floor and aim the lights down at it, and I just stand over it and I photograph it. It is way easier to do it than try to figure out how the best way is to hang them. And if they're bigger, they become distorted, and it's just I'm very anal about pictures, and I know I shouldn't be that way, but I want my product to look good, so somebody will possibly choose mine over somebody else's.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you're taking the photos and you're taking the time to take the photos well, if you're already doing them in a square photo, which it looks like you are, and you've got a good lighting kit, you really should not have to edit photos very often, if at all. That's the part where I think people waste some time.
I don't edit photos at all.
Yeah. And that's how I am too. Like I'm super picky about my pictures, but I spend a lot of time kind of perfecting. You know, there's always room for improvement, but for perfecting it to my taste, when I'm actually taking the pictures so that I don't really have to edit, and that saves like a ton of time from editing and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to go real quick into talking about our sponsor because we still have our sponsor, Sizely. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick here once more. And all right, guys, so Sizely, this is the website I've been using for a couple of years now. I love using it for sharing measurements. They just recently, like a couple months ago, went to a paid site, which for some people you'd be like, oh, that's a bummer. I was super excited about it because I actually think now they have way, way, way more templates, and the way it's set up works much better. But I use this on every listing because I do pretty much 100% clothes other than my shoes. I don't do any like measurements for shoes just because dudes pretty much know what size fits them, and it doesn't seem like it's that much of a problem. So anyway, basically, let's see what's going on here. Oh, I think I need to like log in. No, maybe not. There we go. Okay, so with the pro level, you actually get like over 100 different templates, and like I said, I use them for pretty much every single listing that I do, other than shoes. Right now, the only shoes they have in here are women's shoes. I've been after them. Am I going a little too fast?
Well, you can't focus on anything any of the things.
I think you're crazy. But anyway, so we've got like over 100 templates. It's super quick. It's super easy, especially now that you can do both. I'm going to go up here really quick. I'm going very quickly. But when let's say we're doing some board shorts, you can click this to display both, and you can actually see inches and centimeters all within one picture. This is a good way to just really communicate to your buyers exactly what the measurements are and where on the item of clothing that you measured. Hopefully it'll help you reduce potential returns. And you can use it in all the different platforms. So whether you're listing on Etsy, I've never done Poshmark, but I'm assuming Poshmark has a place for you to put a picture that would be something like this. And of course, eBay.
I've never been on Poshmark or Mercury.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, sorry.
So anyway, if you want to check out Sizely, there is a link down below. You can check out just the free version. There's a few templates there just to test it out. I would recommend using the pro. I think it's a great price. It's like $8 a month if you do it month to month. And if you list a lot of clothing, I think it's worth it. I think if you pay for an entire year, it's only $7 a month. So So yeah, I think it's pretty good. But again, Sizely is our sponsor, so hooray!
I have to actually get started. I'm going to start using it today.
You're gonna start using it today?
I am. When
Can
I
you
listed it, I
believe it,
haven't
you
used it
guys?
yet.
All this yapping I'm doing about Sizely, and she's not even using it.
I've never used it. I'm kind of stuck in my own groove. I don't use templates or anything, so I kind of just, I list everything fresh every time I list. So, and I'm just used to putting in my own measurements, but I'm going to try to figure out how to do it. I know it's going to take a bit of a learning curve, so I'm just going to change my process of listing.
Yeah,
but I'm sure
I like it. And I think it's really cool how they have the templates for some stuff. It's like a little bit harder to show measurements for. So like hats, like baseball hats, they have.
Yeah, that's cool.
Coveralls.
I would never think to. I mean, coveralls are really hard. Overalls are really hard to figure out where the measurements are. So I like that idea. There's a couple of things that are hard to measure, and I like that the templates are already there. So, and it'll save me typing out everything. So I like that idea.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the store review. Okay, so this is supposed to be boss up list intervention was what I call it. We're doing like a store review. Some people have mentioned about death piles. I mean, that was actually my initial idea behind doing this was we would talk to people who maybe have issues with death piles and listing. So we can potentially in the future do something like that as well. It doesn't have to be that you need like a store review or something. But we basically were just looking for people who maybe aren't like super satisfied with where their sales are at. Maybe they want some feedback. And so Sheila is our first guest that we're trying this out with. We've never done this before. So I don't know how it's going to go. So please, I would love to get your feedback. If you guys like the way it's set up, then please feel free to like comment below. I mean, I know you're in the chat right now, but go ahead and leave a comment down below and say what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Yeah, give us some feedback so that if we do continue to do some shows like this in the future, we can hopefully make them as enjoyable and informational as possible, because we're really hoping that we can all learn from each other with this. Now, Sheila, we looked at your store. So your store is called You're the Retired Turtle. Are you like a big fan of turtles?
I love sea turtles, yes.
Awesome. And so your username on eBay is the Retired Turtle, all one word. And so first of all, okay, without going into any like details, what was your very first impression, Victoria, when I sent you Sheila's store? What did you think?
Very first impression was everything looked good and her photos were fantastic. And my first initial impression until we started delving a little bit deeper in was, what does she need help with? Right.
So yeah. So first it was like, because I've been selling for a couple of years, so not a long time, but a couple of years. And Vicky's been doing it for, I mean, I guess seriously in the last 10 years.
At least 10 years. But yeah,
probably like 15
plus.
And so we have a lot of experience between the two of us. And whenever people like show a store or show their store and they're like, hey, I'm having trouble, there's always like certain red flags that immediately pop.
Glaringly obvious what their issues are.
Right.
And that is not the case with you.
Right.
Usually it's the photos are horrible. They've got like 3 words for a title. It's usually when someone is doing terribly, which you're not, by the way, but when someone is doing terribly, it's because of all of these glaringly obvious reasons. They're like, why am I not selling anything? I don't know, because your stuff is on the floor in a jumble. You're selling everything for 99 cents.
You don't take returns.
It's Kmart brand. Like all of those reasons, that is not the case with you. So we had to delve a little bit deeper than just surface to find out what you wanted,
Yeah. And I felt the same way. I was like, oh, there's not really a lot to work with here.
Mom said she trained you well. You did, Mom. You did a good job, Gloria.
So I started like looking a little deeper, and I was like, okay, well, first of all, it's going to be a good lesson in, I don't know, cutting yourself some slack, Sheila. Come on.
Seriously. And realistic expectations too.
Yeah.
So I think that that's part of it too.
Yeah. And also showing some of the things that are really good about your store. And then once I started to kind of look more deeply and really like going through like some of your listings, I was able to find some things. And we discussed this and stuff, but we were able to find some stuff that like, oh, you know what, there actually are some areas that you could improve. And I think that's true for everyone, including us. There's always places that you could be doing better. So I think this is actually kind of a cool first one to do, that it's, we had to work a little harder for it. But Sheila, why don't you tell us, because you posted this thing yesterday, the day before, and it sounded like you were really frustrated. You talked about feeling like you are failing, and you even said something about like letting your husband down. And I want to know, what is it that you think the problem is? Like, what are you feeling about your store that you're frustrated about?
What's that? My big thing is that I don't bring any money in. It's supposed to be my way of doing that.
Okay.
Before, when I sold on eBay, and this time around, I'm just not having the success that I had before. Now, mind before, I would make a living at it. I was just trying to supplement income. My biggest thing is that I feel like my husband is spared paycheck that comes in every month. Excuse me, I don't have that. So I know where I'm not amount of stuff that some of these other people that I see all over the place are selling, and they're fantastic after a year. How come I'm not fantastic after a year? Why am I not selling at the level that they are? Why wants it? Or, you know, and I've watched video after video. I've gone into other people's stores. I've gone into Vicky's. I've gone into yours. I've gone into Lorna's. I've gone into just about everybody I can think of. I look at my mom's. I look at my brother-in-law's. I've done so much research that I'm at the point where some days I lose it and I break down and I don't know what to do. And my husband's like, would you just stop? You know, you just need to stop. So
yeah, be a little bit kinder to yourself. Be a little bit kinder to yourself. Nobody has this all figured out. Nobody. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, whether it's me, Katie, or somebody that's been doing it for 2 months. Nobody has it all figured out. There's everybody has inconsistency in their sales, first of all. Second of all, April is notoriously one of the slowest months on eBay in general, period. So let's throw April out of the equation, first of all. And I also think that you just need to give yourself a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Your pictures are really good. The items that you've found are mostly really good. You are limited because of your space. So what we want to try to do is to help you make the listings that you have there be the most attractive and look the best in search, so that somebody's going to want to buy them, but also give you some pointers on maybe what to pick up in the future that will help give you the greatest return on your investment. Yeah. First, for smaller dollar amounts.
So how much time are you putting in? Are you full-time right now? Like, do you put 40 hours a week into your business? How do you operate?
She puts more than 40 hours a week.
I do not. I don't think I don't, and he thinks I put too much.
Not too much. Just, it seems like every the phone researching. When we're driving down the road, she's on the tablet researching. She's always researching, always doing something with eBay.
Good. So it means you're always trying to better yourself and learn more, which is exactly how we learn. Yeah. So I think it sounds like your husband's probably trying to tell you to give yourself a little bit of a break too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything wrong. You're being really hard on yourself.
Absolutely. But let me go ahead and share the screen so we can look at your store and start talking about this.
First of all, your store logo is really cute.
I love it. Look how cute it is.
Did Nadine do that for you? Was it Nadine?
No, Nadine didn't do it. I did that myself on Canva.
You did it yourself? That's fantastic. It's really cute.
It's
really cute. It's eye-catching. I like it.
Yep.
Thank you.
And see, your pictures look great. And I was going to show, so you can see all of Sheila's pictures. She does have square. And if anybody out there is wondering, I mean, there are a couple that aren't. I see these ones right here, but for the most part, they're all square. And if anyone's wondering why that matters, I actually did find just some random seller. And I went, because I wanted to kind of compare and show you what it looks like when you don't do square photos for at least your main photo. Now I get, like, if you're doing like a long dress, it's gonna be hard to have a square picture, but where it's really important is just your main photo. So if you look at this other seller, I don't know who this person is, but if you look at their store and you go through and look at these listings, you see how, like, some of them are vertical, some are horizontal, right. And you just kind of see it's kind of all over the place. Now, eBay, the way they work, their pictures, they give you a square piece of real estate. And so anytime you're doing this, where you're only using part of the picture, like, look at all this empty space that isn't being used. Same here. And then when you just look at it as a whole, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look consistent. Now, if you go back and we look at Sheila's, it looks so much better. Like, and everybody see, like, how much better it looks when it's like laid out on the screen. It just looks more professional.
And your dark background looks really good on some items. I need to use mine more. That really makes a lot of things pop. So your pictures are really good. I think that first of all, a lot of people have difficulty taking good photos. So right off the bat, you're already ahead of the curve right there.
Yeah, your lighting looks great, and I see like you said you started doing like the flat lay. I think that these
That's
pictures
what I
for jeans
would have recommended.
look so much better than like
nice and crisp. I always tell people do a flat lay or take a close-up photo of the butt. The butt on jeans on an angle is good because that's what women are looking for when they're buying jeans. Men, nah, not so much. They don't really care as much about the butt on the jeans. They're going to buy a brand and a size that they like, period. But yeah,
everybody, you can see, I'm assuming these are older, slightly older listings where you can see the whole.
And they actually don't look bad either. No. For full length photos, those are pretty good because my full length photos don't look that nice.
They don't look bad. And here's the thing, I'm focusing right now on like your main photo. So if you're looking at this full length, it's like you don't really need
that one
to have
needs it because it's got the
but in your main photo you don't necessarily have to have like this whole picture because you're wanting to catch people's eye. Like when somebody does a search for Levi's 505 jeans, you want them to see a nice picture like this as opposed to a far away picture. It just looks more appealing.
Yeah, I like how you have a couple of your blouses and shirts on an angle up close. That's perfect. A couple of your shirts, I can see that you didn't do the close-up on. They maybe some of the older listings. If you scroll up or scroll down, I'm not sure which. So say like your Hawaiian shirts and things like that, you could do a close-up of those as well. Don't go and change
like how you do right here. You have this one like that.
Don't go and change anything right now, but in the future, do that one main photo as the close-up. Everybody knows what a Hawaiian shirt looks like shape-wise, but you want to see the pattern up close as that first picture. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't do any full pictures for my main picture. All of my pictures are a close-up.
I do on some things. It depends on what it is. But I don't, other than that, I mean, I really don't have a lot of photo tips for you at all. Your photos are real good.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody said, Casey Lakeman said, I may be wrong, but I heard we were only supposed to use a white background. Is that true? Here's the thing about, I'll take the screen share off so we're not just staring at the screen this whole time. Here's the thing about the white background. When it comes to listings getting pushed out to Google, I know that Google prefers like a white background. So a lot of times, like if you like, you
image search,
there was like this phase where everybody's putting, everything has like a fence in the background or like stuff going on in the background, and or just different colors,
or a pillow or a it's like a Poshmark type of thing people have carried through over to eBay, and it just doesn't work on eBay.
Yeah, but if you want to make it like Google search friendly and to get pushed out, it needs to be on a white background. I'm not entirely sure about the black background part. I know that like, some people, sometimes they recommend putting, light colored things on a dark background. A lot of people do that. I know Victoria does that. I did it for a little bit. Honestly, like even with white stuff now, I use a white background. Just because it's faster and for consistency. But that's like a personal preference. So for the most part, it's like use white background when you can. If you want something to pop more in the picture, then I think, a black background or a dark gray background.
I think they both look great. Fine. I think the reason why eBay was saying they prefer the white background was A, for the Google thing, and B, for their image search thing that they rolled out this year. If you want to if you're doing an image search, like they
it looked like we lost our connection for a second there, but hopefully we're okay. Are we back, you guys?
Are we back?
Looks like we should be back. Let us know in the chat real quick if you see us again. Somehow we lost our connection.
Okay,
all right. Anyway, I'm going to assume that you guys can see us and hear us because we're back up on the screen here. All right. Yes. Anyway, so what I was saying is that if you have like this amazing, like, okay, have you ever like, gone to McDonald's after seeing like one of those advertisements for like a McDonald's Big Mac, and it looks like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about McDonald's, but the picture always looks amazing, and then you get your burger and it's like all smashed and everything, right? So if you're taking these like amazing pictures and you have this like high level photography equipment, perfect white background, you're going to run the risk of taking pictures that make your stuff look almost too good. So you're going to get to that point
or make
where
you look like it's a professional store, where a lot of people that buy from eBay and Poshmark users want to know that they're buying from a small seller. They want to know that they're buying from the lady driving down the street in the RV.
That too, but you don't necessarily, you want your pictures to reflect the actual item that you're selling. So if you go over the top with your photography to where it looks like this amazing, vibrant shirt and it looks like it's just perfect, and they get it and it's like, it looks basically like that, but it's a little bit duller. People are going to be disappointed. And the whole thing is you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. You'd rather under-promise, over-deliver.
Under-promise, over-deliver.
Yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, so that's what I have to say about pictures. Also, Sheila, I saw that you have Sizely in some of your pictures. Of course, I'm not going to say like you need to be doing Sizely because you also have your measurements in your descriptions, but is that just something you tried for a little while?
I did, based off of your store. Yes, I tried Sizely for a little while. I got to the point where I was like, I don't know if this is helping. And then I've tried so many different things. So, I mean, you can go through some of the listings and you can see I use Sizely on some stuff. And then I was doing very minimal information in the descriptions with my measurements. And then some have a lot of description. So they're kind of all over the place trying to figure out what was the best formula for me.
I think Sizely is a great idea. I understand that your sales are a little bit low right now and you may not want to take on the expense, but keep it in the back of your mind. As your sales pick up, I think it's a great tool to have. But if you're not using that as a photograph, then definitely provide all the measurements like you have been. So, I mean, both ways work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not saying anybody needs to use Sizely. I was just curious because I saw that you had it in some of your stuff.
Right.
All right, I'm going to go back to the share. And I wanted to point something out first before we kind of go too much further with this. So when I look at, so now I'm not in your actual store anymore. I'm just looking at all your listings. So according to this, you have 169 current listings. And then when I scroll down here and I hit sold, I'm assuming all of your stuff is pretty much one-offs. You don't have like any replenishables. So this says that you've sold 69 items. So that should be pretty accurate for the last 90 days, right?
Yes.
So as far as those sales go, you're pretty much at like about a 14% sell-through rate, which I have to say is pretty good for the size of your store. Like that percentage, my percentage is only 10%, but I have
about 10% as well.
Yeah.
And I have 2,100 listings.
Yeah. So you really need to like step back and like get a better picture of like how well you are actually doing. Because 14% is no small level for selling like a lot of clothing. I know, like for me, I'm at 10%, but I do a lot of higher price stuff. And of course I have a higher volume because I have like 1,600 listings as opposed to your, 169. So you definitely have like a pretty good sell-through rate for what you are carrying in your store.
It really is just a numbers game. The more you have listed, the greater the percentage that you're going to sell, or the more you have listed, the more items you're going to sell. There's a realistic type of sell-through. If you're looking on Instagram or on Twitter and you're finding people that have 50% sell-through or 75% sell-through, you know what? You really have to question, A, what are they selling? B, are they starting everything in auction for 99 cents? And what is their bottom line? If you're going to get a decent return on your investment, it's realistic to expect anywhere from, especially in mostly clothing, anywhere from 5 to 10% as your sell-through percentage. That's not an unrealistic number.
Absolutely. Okay. And Lorna says you're comparing yourself too much with others, and I completely agree with her. I think that there is a lot to learn by looking at other people's stores and looking at how other people are doing what they're selling. But I think you get into trouble when you start trying to compare yourself to them and assuming that you are not successful because you're not doing exactly what they're doing.
Right.
I would look to other people for inspiration, but not as like some sort of measurement.
You don't have to model yourself against anyone else. I mean, really, you don't. And that's the thing. Everybody's journey and everybody's store and the way of doing business is going to be a little bit different. You can pick and choose and take different bits and tidbits from everybody and turn it into what works for you. I mean, I know that's what I've done over the years, and I'm pretty sure that's what Katie's done over the years. You learn a little bit from everybody and from your own knowledge.
Christiane says, comparison is the thief of joy. Amen. I like that saying. That's a good one. Okay, let's move on.
I think that's what one of my bigger problems is that I see some of these younger girls in their early 20s and they claim they're selling all this stuff and doing so wonderful, and they're buying cars and houses and everything. And
get off Instagram.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, a lot of that you find is that, here's the thing. You can work 20 hours a day selling 200 items for $8 a piece and profit $3 or $4 on each item, which is what a lot of those big sellers do. And they pay other people to work for them. And they're still netting the same amount of money as Katie or I do working by ourselves. Yeah. So,
and a lot of that's hype. It's how they're presenting you the numbers. It's how they're presenting it to you. A lot of like the people like YouTube personalities, like I'm pretty small time, but there's a lot of people out there who have really huge followings, and you got to remember that they have people working for them. They also are getting an income from YouTube itself. Like they make money doing that. So they have several streams of income, and they're not all that success that you're seeing them have is based on a crazy amount of manpower hours and also other income.
Other revenue streams. Yeah.
They're not just selling the stuff that they're showing you they're selling and making all their money from that.
Everybody's a little bit different. Not everybody paid $1 and sold everything for $100 and they sold 500 items. That's not real.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm trying really hard to be as transparent as possible. Like I've shared some of my numbers and stuff like that on Instagram.
And I'm pretty honest about what I do as well. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell. You can look through anybody's store and look at the amount of solds, and you can see the percentage of things, the dollar amount things sell for. And, not everything's a home run.
Like I've only sold like 440 items in the last 90 days. Of course, I focus on higher average sale price. And so that's kind of where I put my focus rather than trying to like hire people or anything like that. Nanette wants to know for sell-through rate, are you comparing items in the store versus items sold over 90 days? Yes, I'm taking the items sold over 90 days and averaging that out. So take the items sold over 90 days, divide by 3, and then divided by the total number of items in the store, assuming that's like an fairly consistent store size right now. And then that gives you like just a really basic number to go off. I mean, I don't know how accurate that is to actual success in your store, but that's like a way to kind of compare it. Anyway, yeah. So you definitely want to be careful about like when you're following people, when you're watching people's story. I mean, just in general, social media, people, I mean, come on, Facebook, like how many
they're going to portray their best selves.
Yeah. It's
always.
like, you would think that like everybody's having the most awesome time every single day. They're doing these amazing things. And it's like,
and every mother makes every lunch from a Pinterest story. I mean, it's just lucky if she got peanut butter and jelly flying on the way out the door on the last piece of bread that was 2 days stale.
Well, they talk about how social media now is like really, it's leading to a lot of depression and stuff because people are comparing themselves. They're comparing the reality that they know of their own lives with like this virtual existence that these other people are living. And it's like, you don't know what the reality is.
Everybody's got their own story. And you can manufacture the story, or you can be transparent. And some people are a combination of the two. And some people are one way or the other. So
yeah. And they're not always being honest about how much they're spending on the items that they're selling. Like I could do $2 million in gross sales, but what if I'm spending $1.8 million to buy the product to do that? I mean, so you just gotta like, take everything with a grain of salt and just focus on yourself and be confident in like your abilities and what you can accomplish. Okay, so we're gonna move on because we're actually kind of running out of time to a certain degree, but we got plenty of time to finish this up. Yeah. So we're gonna look at titles next. I'm gonna go back to screen share. Victoria, do you want to talk about this? Because I think you got some good feedback about
Yeah,
titles.
okay. So everybody does things a little bit differently, but here's what eBay's best practices say to do and what I've found works better over time. It used to be you want to try to clump in as many keywords as possible into every title. And I'm as guilty as everyone else to try and use up every single character space. And you've done really well with that too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the way that everything is going these days with mobile listings, your titles are being truncated when someone is looking at a listing on their phone or on a mobile device. So the most important thing to do now, and not all of my listings do this, by the way, it's just I've been trying to change it over the last 6 months or so. And as I switch stuff up, you want to put your most important information in your title up front. You want to put the name brand, if it's a name brand that is searchable. If it's a crappy no brand, you can put it further back in the title because the person's not searching for that. You want to use a different keyword. Like, for example, scroll like men's Columbia shorts, 40 cotton green. Okay, so you would put Columbia green shorts, 40, and then put all the crap after that. I would say half the time you don't need to put the word men's, women's, or the word size. You're going to put that stuff in information in there anyway. When someone is searching for something, they're going to search down to the men's category. They're going to search down to the women's category. So I would front load the front of the titles with the best information. Columbia shorts green, 40. And then you could put men's if you want to put, if you have room for it, stone washed granite, cloth, utility pocket, whatever, all that stuff that you have in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And don't go in and change all your titles now. You don't need to do that.
Okay.
But if you want to go do that going forward, or if you want to rework a couple a day, then feel free to do that. I think that's probably the best way to present things. Like vintage, Victoria's Secret girdle. You could cut down vintage to VTG. VTG is recognized the same way as vintage.
Right.
If you're putting that as vintage, you're going to want to know why that's vintage. So like you could put S instead of small, satin instead of satiny. I would just put Victoria's Secret girdle, slip, and then put the stuff underneath it. Vintage or VTG, I do always put first myself.
Just try to think about, like, if you were a buyer, what would you be, if you were searching for something like this, what would you be looking at? Of course, you'd be looking at Victoria's Secret. Mm-hmm. So that's a given that like the brand should be first. And then like what it actually is, which is a girdle, right? Or girdle slip.
Right.
So you might put Victoria's Secret girdle slip should be like your first 4 words.
Yeah. Okay. That's the kind of thing that, again, like, okay, so Saddlebread, I've never heard of that brand. That doesn't mean that it's not a good brand. I'm not sure. I'm just not familiar with it. But I would put, maybe white cotton shorts, 40, men's, Saddlebread, casual, like, you know what I mean? You want to front load the front of the title with the most important information, because that's what's going to be shown on your mobile device first.
Okay.
Gloria wants to know how we feel about putting vintage at the beginning of the title.
I do. I personally do. You don't necessarily have to. Some people there's mixed reviews on that. I tend to do that because I do search for vintage and I sell a lot of vintage. So
I don't, because I like to have my titles be super consistent. So I like to have a brand at the beginning of everything, and not everything I sell is vintage. But again, I don't think that it's going to kill your listing because you put vintage first. It's just
if you put VTG,
thing.
I think it's great.
I use VTG, but again, I never put it at the beginning, but I don't think it like ruins anything or is really going to have like a negative effect, because most people that are looking for vintage probably will use the word vintage. So.
Yeah. I mean, as far as that, your titles overall, they're really good. You don't have a lot of useless words in there. You're not using, don't use new or used or excellent use condition. People use EUC or NWT, new with tags. Don't use any of those acronyms anymore. eBay is saying do away with the acronyms. Here's why. Look underneath your title, how it says pre-owned. You're already checking off if it's pre-owned. If it's new, it says new. You don't need to be redundant and put it in your title. It's already going to be there for your customer to see, as long as you're checking it off under item specifics.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was policies. So overall, it's like you take returns, so that's great. I see you have international shipping. Do you do that yourself, or do you do global shipping program? How do you do your shipping for international stuff?
I do it all myself.
Perfect. And that's what I recommend, because it gives better prices to your buyers, so you're more likely to sell stuff. I'm going to go ahead and take this off screen share.
Yeah, and we've not had any issues. We've sold several items to Germany with no issues, and Canada, and I've sent stuff to Israel. I've not had any issues yet, knock on wood, that, nothing happens, but I feel comfortable doing it. My mom walked me through the process in the beginning because we weren't doing it.
I can't really speak to GSP because I've never used it. I've always shipped on my own, and I've been shipping international since my first eBay sale. So I don't know any other way. I really don't know exactly how GSP works. So I really can't talk about it. All I can say is that I know that it's more, it costs the customer more money.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything like inherently wrong with GSP. I think it works well for people who just aren't comfortable with the idea of doing their own shipping. But I did a video a while back kind of walking people through the process and to show how easy it is to do it yourself. Because the thing is, like, there's some countries, I mean, I don't know about all of them, but I know Canada, I recently learned that Australia is this way too, where under a certain value, they don't charge like customs fees, but GSP automatically does. So if you're somebody in Canada, it's like you're going to pay a lot more for an item from a seller that uses GSP.
I think it's under $30-something in Canada, and if it's used, they don't charge. So I'm always real careful to make sure that my item says that it's pre-owned if it is on my.
And I think Australia's a lot higher. So it's like, you know, and Australia's like one of the, probably Canada and Australia are two of like the main countries that I sell to. So, so Sheila, I noticed that you have free shipping on some items, but a lot of items you don't. Can you tell us like how you decide which stuff has free shipping, which doesn't?
It's just, like I said, going and looking at other people's stores and changing stuff randomly is all it is.
Okay.
So some people they do free shipping only. Some people charge. I was going through and like you guys were saying, don't compare yourself to other people. I mean, and that's what I was doing. I was like, work for me. And when it didn't, then I went back to charging and so place.
Okay.
So there's no rhyme or reason for that.
I think based on the items that you're selling, my suggestion would probably be to offer free shipping, because almost everything that you have for sale is something that is going to be first class or fit in a padded flat rate mailer. Am I correct? With the exception of a couple of things.
Yeah,
so
pretty much everything can go first class.
In this case, I would say you probably want to go in and change everything to free shipping, but don't just do free shipping automatically. I think you need to do free shipping, but add the cost of shipping onto your price. Okay. Don't just go and knock yourself out and say, okay, this is now $40 in free shipping when it was $40 plus $8 shipping before. Add the $7.
Yeah. So if you have a pair of shorts,
put $7.
You have a pair of shorts that are $19.99 plus shipping, make them $24.99 free shipping. And so it's not you're not going to lose any money. But the thing is, I always say remove all obstacles. The idea behind that is to make it as easy as possible for anyone that wants to buy from you to buy from you. And there are some people who do click on the free shipping.
I know that I do. That's how I shop.
And when they do that, they don't see any of your stuff at all if you charge shipping. Now, let's say that's only 5% of buyers. Now, I think it's a lot higher than that, but let's say it's only 5% of buyers. Well, now right there, 5% of buyers, you basically eliminated from being able to purchase from you because they're not seeing your listings because you're charging. So,
and I don't say that everybody needs to do free shipping. Please don't say that, oh, Vicki says everybody has to do free shipping. No, it really depends on what you sell, what your market is. I have plenty of things that I'm never going to do free shipping on. I'm never going to do free shipping on a set of dishes. I'm sorry. My dishes are going to cost me $30 to go to California. They're going to cost $100 to go to Rhode Island. I'm not building that into my price. That's going to be calculated. But everybody's a little bit different. So I think if you can fit it into a padded flat rate mailer, or if it's under £1, add the price onto your listing and do free shipping. Yeah. Make it easier.
And again, that really is not a blanket statement, because I understand, like, for the stuff that I sell, for a while I was charging shipping and I could get away with it because I do a lot of vintage stuff, a lot of items that people are really looking for specifically. And I know that they're more likely to be digging a little deeper and finding the specific piece that they want, and they're not going to care about paying a little shipping. But I had to think about, okay, I have this whole philosophy of remove all obstacles. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I am actually doing that. Because every little bit helps. So if I get a few more sales every month because I have free shipping, great. If I get a few more sales every month because I do my own international shipping, great. And it all adds up. So when I have this whole list of like best practices that I'm following, each individual one may only contribute to a couple additional sales, but that all adds up. And then in the end, it's because I have my doors wide open instead of like, slowly closing them by having kind of more restrictive policies. I'm allowing myself to have the maximum number of sales.
Okay, so I think we went over a couple of these things. Okay, overall you do returns, that's good. Free shipping.
Well, yeah. So I wanted to ask about, now I know that there is an extra challenge because you are on the road. It looks like when I look at your listings, it says that they're shipping out of like South Dakota or something like that. I'm not really sure. How do you handle your ship from zip code when you're constantly on the move?
So we have a mailbox in South Dakota.
Okay.
So if anything needs to be sent back, it can go there.
Okay.
And so we just use that as the base. But when I go in and ship, I will change the zip code for what location that we're in.
Gotcha.
And it automatically adjusts it for that. Even though the return address on my label is still South Dakota, it still is, because most of my stuff is it's a flat rate shipping to everybody, whoever. So 15 to California or New York, it doesn't matter. So it's not calculated the best way that I can do it being on the road.
Okay. So I'm assuming that there are some challenges there as far as like the guaranteed shipping program, guaranteed delivery program. I know that when looking at your thing, like none of your listings qualify for guaranteed delivery.
Do you have the ability to ship every business day?
Yes, we do.
What's your handling time right now?
1 day.
1 day. Okay. So
that's why it's not showing that it's the.
Yeah, so you're guaranteed, although like I said, because you're shipping from different locations in the US, whatever. So basically what I would say, what I noticed is that in some of your listings, what it says when they look at guaranteed delivery, they're looking at items that can get to their destination within 3 days or less. So some of your items you have down standard shipping, and I used to do this myself. So this is something I changed when the guaranteed delivery program started, because if you choose standard shipping, the window I think is like 2 to 4 days. And so because the maximum is 4 days, you're automatically not going to show up under the guaranteed delivery program because it has to be like 3 days or less. And so if anyone, let me show really quick. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen again. So when I'm looking at all your listings, right? So you have 169 results. If I go over here and hit guaranteed 3-day delivery, 0 results. Okay. So if you have, and I'm not saying like this is necessarily having a huge impact on your sales, but if there is somebody out there and let's say they need to find, I'll get out here real quick. Let's say they're looking for a dress for a special occasion. They've got something coming up next week or this weekend. They're going to a graduation. They want to find a nice dress. They might go and do a search for a dress and they might click on that guaranteed 3-day delivery because they want to make sure that whatever they order is going to be here in time for them to do that. But because you have standard shipping, you're automatically basically disqualifying yourself from that program. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then another thing I noticed is, now not everybody does this. I do this because I weigh all my stuff. I know what everything weighs. So even, let's see, let me look at one of your listings here. So this one says standard shipping. So again, that's basically saying that it's delivery in 4 days. So it's not ever going to be,
click on see details.
See details. I think it's just going to be where you can put in like your zip code, like where it's going to. Anyway, so they're paying $5.70 for standard shipping, or let's see one of these ones that has free shipping. You've got like something. Here's one, and this is probably pretty lightweight too. So fast and free. Again, this is a free delivery in 4 days. So I'm assuming that even though you chose free delivery for this, free shipping, it probably is standard because it's showing 4 days. So something I do in all of my listings is if it's something that goes first class, I always have the option for them to pay more to send it and expedited. So something like this, I'm assuming it's under £1, which is why you've got the 4 days on here. Add an option that they can pay $6.95 and they can get it expedited because you can put this in a padded flat rate mailer.
Right.
And not everybody's going to do it, but some people are going to want it quicker. And
but that allows you to be part of the guaranteed delivery program is if you have the option for expedited shipping on every item.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it on every item. You just have to have the option.
Yeah. Personally, I ship everything either first class or priority. with my first class stuff, there's always the option that they can pay more. I even have an option they can pay more for express. So let's say something is under a pound.
And I don't even offer that.
And I have
she's done it a few times.
Yeah, and I've done it a few times. And I have free shipping for first class. They pay $6.95. They get it expedited. They pay $22.95, and I will send it express. And this is just for stuff that fits in like a padded flat rate mailer, because Express has a padded flat rate mailer as well. But it's just like giving people those options, because some people want their stuff immediately, and so the faster you can get to them, the better.
So one thing we were doing regarding shipping is that when we relocated to a different location, we would bulk edit and just change our location. What would you think about that?
I don't think it makes that much of a difference as far as the shipping goes, but I think if that's easier for you to do, to keep track of things, then go for it. It's not going to make a difference whether I have somebody on the East Coast that wants to buy something from me here, almost West Coast, or I'm in the middle of the country. If you have priority shipping or expedited shipping,
I mean, it'll be faster depending on where you're at. So, I mean, maybe you don't have to change it for every location, but maybe like by region. So right now you're in California, but if you go up to Oregon or over to, Nevada or whatever, where it doesn't make a huge difference in time, like maybe don't worry about it. But if you go like to a significantly different part of the US, because it is going to make a difference, especially if you're trying to do the guaranteed delivery. It's going to make a difference if you're in California versus Florida. How
that's
quickly
true.
it's going to get there.
Be 2 days instead of 3 days usually,
right? And so,
for priority.
Yeah. So if it's not that big of a hardship for you to like go in and switch those things around, like, every little thing helps.
I think, and these are things that you can, by the way, you don't go crazy and change every single thing right away. We're trying to give you some actionable tips that you can maybe take and change 10 things a day. And there are a few things that you can go in and bulk edit, and with only 170 items, you can get them all changed in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing you might want to offer to be part of the guaranteed shipping thing is change all of your items to immediate payment required.
Do you have that right now?
I don't think so. I'm not even sure where to go for that.
Okay. It's pretty simple. I'm trying to think of where it's basically in your business policies, where, let's see, I can go over real quick. I can show you on mine real quick. Let me share the screen here. Okay. So basically, if you're under your listings, you go down here in the corner, it says business policies, and you click on that, it should show you all of your business policies. Now, some people have a different setup. I think this is something you can opt out of. Personally, I think that if you can have the business policies like this, it really does help. And so basically what I have here's my payment. This is my default payment policy. So if I just go here, I'll click on edit. And right here, it says requires immediate payment when buyer uses buy it now. I have that checked. Now, I used to not have it checked because there is some talk about how by requiring immediate payment, it does make it difficult for some people to make multiple purchases at once. I get that, but because it is a requirement with guaranteed delivery, I basically, when I'm thinking about my whole remove all obstacles thing, I'm like, okay, how many people is this really going to be a big problem for because they're trying to check out with multiple things in their cart or whatever, versus how many people is this going to encourage to buy from me because they're able to see they have guaranteed delivery. And I just decided that guaranteed delivery was going to have a bigger impact on my sales than the other issue. And so I really don't think it's that big of an issue. If there's a buyer that really wants to buy something from me and they're having trouble checking out, we can work through it. As far as requiring immediate payment, when someone does buy it now, the whole time I didn't require it, I don't think I ever had a buyer buy something from me under the buy it now and then say, can I pay you later? It's never been an issue. So I just really don't think it's that big of a problem. So,
Well, again, these are just things that maybe help you get a few more sales. I think, and take everything with a grain of salt. You don't have to Biblize and do everything that we say, believe me. But there might be tips from this that you think are helpful.
Yeah.
I noticed that you're not doing Markdown Manager and you've done only a couple of sales. Totally fine. But what I would suggest is looking into Markdown Manager or promoted listings
People like sales.
People like sales, and the promoted listings add more eyes to your items. Again, I'm not looking for you to say that you want to give more money to eBay and less in your pocket. Again, you can increase your prices to accommodate these sales. It's all about perception. If you have something that you really only want to get $20 on, but you want to run a sale on it, increase your price 20% and then have a 20% off sale.
Some people swear by 13% sales. You've got your 23%. I think, Victoria, you do 30, 33.
I do 25
sometimes.
to 30, 33, but my prices are all high enough that I can accommodate those sale prices.
I do 40 to
like
50%. So
and it's just about perception. It's really, you know, I very rarely have somebody buy something full price because my stuff is almost always on one sale or another. And I don't do it by category. I usually do the whole store, but everybody's different. You said that you did, you know, that one sale and that generated a few sales for you. You might look into just increasing your prices a little bit. Maybe increase your prices first so that you can add your free shipping on some things, and then go in and increase your pricings. Again, these are things you can do in bulk listing. You can increase your price by 15% and then run a 15% store-wide sale. All things that are going to generate a few more eyeballs on your store.
Now, these are all like little things that you can adjust, changes that you can make.
You don't have to do it all this week. You don't have to do it all the time.
Bottom line, like we said, Sheila, your sell-through rate is pretty good. And so when I look at somebody's store and I can see that they have a decent sell-through rate, what is the answer to more sales? More items.
More items.
It all comes down to more items.
More listing.
So you said you have some more space to grow. You said you have inventory that isn't listed yet. And you have a small amount of room to have a bigger store. You want to have at least over 250. So that's almost 100 more items than what you have listed right now. So honestly, what I would say to you is your biggest thing that you need to focus on is just increasing the amount of items that you have in your store. And then also, I don't know, like, do you list every day? Like, how often are you like listing new items?
I try to do, I try to follow your 2 and 2 as much as I can, unless we're gone. Like yesterday, I couldn't do anything, but we went and visited my grandmother, but I did prep some. So I do have some in drafts that are ready to be released. So I do have stuff ready to go. I try to do pictures as often as I possibly can because I do have so much inventory that's not photographed or measured or anything. So I have a lot of pictures that need to be listed.
Don't let your pile of inventory or amount of inventory that's not listed feel like it's weighing on you right now. Okay. I can tell that you've said a few times that you have a lot of stuff that's not listed. I have a lot of stuff that's not listed right now. Take it little bites at a time.
Okay.
You know, take photographs of 5 items and get those 5 items listed. When you have 2-hour stretch, 5 photographs, 5 items listed. I know your storage is difficult at this time, but the more stuff that you have listed, the more that you can put away underneath in your basement area, right? So, and I know those long skinny totes that are made for Christmas ornaments fit really well in that under storage area. You can fit an awful lot of clothing items in those things rolled up. So I know that you can get an awful lot in there once you have the stuff listed and just folded and rolled up so that it's easy to pull for shipping. Those long plastic, you know what I'm talking about, right? Those long plastic totes that are made for Christmas ornaments. Those are really good sizes for under RV storage. And those will probably fit. Do you have a built up bed in the room? Do you have storage under the bed, or do you have drawers?
No, we have storage under the bed.
So if you don't have your own personal stuff in there, and you may, because I wouldn't know where the heck to put all my crap to live in an RV. But if you have some room for that, that's another way to do it too. So don't be too hard on yourself with that stuff. Just take little bites out at a time. Maybe set aside one afternoon to go in and increase your prices to put in free shipping, and realize that every time that you make bulk changes in your store, it takes a few hours for the store to re-index and show again on eBay. So maybe you want to do it at night when you're sitting around watching TV, when you're parked, in the park. So take some time to do those type of things. It's not really that time consuming because most of the stuff that we're suggesting you can do in a bulk edit. And if you get stuck and don't know how to do it, message Katie, message myself. We'll try to walk you through it in a way that makes sense.
Well, and the thing with my whole 2 or 2 thing, the whole idea behind it is it's like, it's supposed to be, don't think about, oh, I have 100 items that need to be listed, or I have all this other stuff I have to do.
Think about, I have
It's
5
about
things to list
today, I'm going to try and list at least 2 new items. Or if I can't manage that, I'm going to try and end my 2 oldest items, and I'm going to do sell similar, rework them. It's more about like, okay, I need to at least get this done today, so I know I did that. And it's about building, creating those habits. But it's also about not overwhelming yourself with, I have all these things to do, or I have all this stuff ready to list. But let's get down. We're pretty much out of time. So Sheila, we're going to give you basically actionable tips. I would say the very, very first, most important one I can give you is to acknowledge and appreciate your accomplishments, because seriously, you are doing really, really well.
You're doing everything right.
Absolutely. You really are. And yet you need to like be able to step back and see that you're actually doing a really good job, and that you're way too hard on yourself. And I think that all the criticism that you kind of put out there, you're putting that on yourself. And when you say things like, I feel like I'm failing, or I'm letting my husband down, you're kind of projecting that onto him. When I'm betting that you can probably go ahead and just assume the best about your husband and think that he's probably really super proud of like all the hard work that you're doing. And all of those like kind of negative things that are going through your head, you're saying that to yourself.
And volunteered to let people pick apart your store that you don't know, as opposed, also a whole audience of people pick apart your store privately and publicly. I don't know that I would have done that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would do that now. I mean, yeah, you can all go look at my store now, but I'm not putting it on live so you can go pick it apart. So I mean, that's, nobody's perfect. I have 1 billion listings, and I'm sure somebody can find something wrong with at least 30% of my listings. So, give yourself some credit for what you're doing right and for what you're willing and wanting to change. I think a couple of things, to take forward from this, just to be a little bit more concise. And again, good thing you can watch this in a playback anytime you want. But I think what you need to raise your prices a little bit. Raise your prices a little bit to have room for free shipping, and to have a little bit of cushion to do promoted listings or sales.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you recommend taking or put everything at to have a best offer? Because I have those all over the place too, where I have just buy it.
That's a personal preference. For the longest time, I have never had best offer. I just started putting it on some of my listings. So
I wouldn't necessarily put it on lower price stuff.
Right. Most of your stuff isn't high enough price to be worrying about a best offer. If you've got a $15 or $20 item with free shipping and you're opening up for best offers, why bother at that point? Someone's going to offer you $4 and then it's going to cost you $5 to ship it. Forget it. Don't even go there.
Right. Okay.
I do best offer on all of my stuff, but I sell much higher priced items.
I tend to do it on anything over $50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say, again, your biggest thing is just to increase your inventory. So get those listings done, and just slowly, you've got the storage room, because you say you've got a bunch of stuff that's unlisted. So you've got plenty of room to grow there.
List what you have.
And then you were going to talk about
I was going to talk about
higher value stuff.
I was going to talk about sourcing some higher value items when you can.
Okay.
And it's all a learning curve. The first thing that I'm going to say, in women's clothing, which is probably the most competitive market,
I don't do it.
In women's clothing, I would say that if it is a name brand that can be sold at Walmart, Target, Kmart, JCPenney, anything like that, mid-level brand, low-level or mid-level brand, skip it.
Okay.
Don't even buy it. 90% of the time, it's not worth reselling.
Okay.
If it's a name brand, when it's Lucky Jeans, Gap Jeans, that kind of thing, a little bit higher end, yes. Higher end clothing. You can find higher end items in thrift stores.
And I would start learning about men's clothing, because men's clothing tends to sell for more. They usually have
fewer returns.
Lower returns. Exactly.
Far fewer returns.
There's a lot of stuff out there that's like highly collectible, like the stuff that I sell, a lot of the vintage sportswear and stuff like that. So I would suggest learning more about that, because it is, when you have limited space. What's that, James?
That's what I'm researching now, and trying to look more into that, and then we work together when we go through.
Nice. So good brand names and things like that. That's the thing about men. Men know what size they wear, and they like certain brands and styles, period. They're not going to return their stuff. I know as well that myself, as well as most women, a size 10 and a size 12 are completely different across brands.
Right.
Doesn't matter what kind of measurements you put in a listing, a dress or a pair of pants is going to fit me differently from 10 different companies. And even if you have the measurements there, I may not like it once I get it home. So you're just susceptible to a lot more returns. The women's clothing is a more difficult market, period.
Right.
So if you're going to sell in that market, make sure that you're making the dollar amount worth it.
Okay.
That's really it.
Yep.
If you're going to be selling the Target and Walmart brands, you better have gotten it for like 50 cents at a yard sale and you're selling it for 25 bucks.
Right.
And you have to sell a lot of those in order to really make money doing it. And so because you are limited overall in your space, the only way that you're really going to be able to significantly grow is by getting better at thrifting and sourcing higher valued items.
Yeah, and I sell at least 50% women's and 50% men's, as well as in my clothing areas. I love selling men's clothing. This is why Katie and I don't go thrifting a lot together, because I would buy all the same stuff she buys.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I love selling both. Men's, definitely, it's easier to list and easier to sell.
Yep.
But I do sell women's as well. So just maybe be a little bit more selective on some of the women's clothing, but go through what you have. List everything you have now. I mean, list what you have now, and be a little bit more selective maybe in the buying. The buying is the fun part. Everybody loves to buy.
Right.
She doesn't.
You would
We
love
end
to
up-
buy if you were more consistent in your sales and you felt like your
Yeah.
sales were going
Yeah.
somewhere.
It's a lot of frustration right now. It's very frustrating for me to go to the thrift store and
She
wanna
ends up
scream.
with a cart full, and then we go to a corner and do a little bit of research, and we walk out of there empty-handed, sometimes leaving the cart full because we're frustrated. So
Don't let yourself get that way. I mean, even if, you know, make sure you put your brand name in the title first. Make sure it's a brand name that's sellable. Even if you've got something for $1 or 50 cents, if the sell-through is really low when you do a little research, if it's something that, you know, doesn't sell a lot and they only sell for $15 or $20, I don't care if you paid 50 cents for it. All it's going to do is take up space. If it's not worth selling, it's not worth selling.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
Thanks,
have a
Steve.
hard time
Very
letting go of that concept.
Yeah. And get yourself, you know, listed to capacity by the time fourth quarter starts this year, because that's when you really start making a lot of money. So you want to like prepare for that. But basically, okay, so we're just about out of time, guys. So I'm going to say top 3 things: be nice to yourself, get your inventory, your actual listed inventory up there. So be listing every day if you can, or as frequently as possible, and get all that stuff listed. And then
Keep your store
3,
active.
focus on sourcing higher valued items. So those are the 3 main things. And then we went through a bunch of little stuff that you can always be doing.
Yeah, changing your titles and the free shipping and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
totally.
You can do that all and stuff going forward, or you can, when you have time, go in and edit listings you already have.
Yeah.
But don't go taking new pictures or anything like that.
No,
Your pictures
the
are
pictures are
fantastic.
Yeah. So anyway, Sheila, I hope that we've done something today to help you a little bit. I hope that this is giving you some hope, maybe.
I hope it helps.
Yeah.
And I'm glad your husband
very
joined in, and your mother says he's very handsome. He is very handsome. So
Thank you, ladies. We appreciate the help.
Awesome. Well, thanks to everybody for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the show. Please go ahead and after this live part is over and you can come back and comment in the comments, give us some feedback about what you think about this format. If you want to see us do this some more in the future, what you did like, what you didn't like, whatever. If you're not subscribed to my channel now, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and make sure you click on the little bell icon next to it so that you are surely getting all of the notifications that I put new content up. And if you're not a member of the Boss group, come on, guys, what are you waiting for? Get into the Boss Facebook group. That link is also down below, as well as a link to Sizely and to all of our stores and everything like that. And go back and get some listing done because it is Boss Up and List Day, which is our weekly.
I have to go list. I haven't listed a darn thing today.
I haven't either, guys. I haven't either. So it's our all-day virtual listing party that we do every Wednesday in the Boss Facebook group, along with this live show that we do every week. So Sheila, again, thank you so much for taking the time to come and be on the show today. It was great to get to know one of our members a little bit better.
And I think Katie typed this out, by the way. And if you want, we can send you our list of suggestions. Did you hang on to that or did you delete it?
Yeah, I still have it. I have my little notes.
So she can send it to you in a message if you want. So you have
Okay,
something to
that'd be
refer
great.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Get back to work right now.